How only 3 exercises can make you stronger. Hi and welcome. It's Jason Barlow, RMT. I'm here today as your therapist and as your coach to help you transform stress, tension, pain into health, happiness, and vitality. So here we are, several weeks in now on this podcast series where I'm sharing with you every Thursday a tidbit from my book, my new book, the 15-Step Playbook for Pain Relief. We've just recently covered steps number 4 through 6, which is focusing on my top 3 exercise choices. What I thought I'd spend today's session doing is just expanding on why is it that I've only chosen 3 exercises? Well, partly because I'm doing a 15-step playbook for pain relief, so just fit in nicely to that. But in all honesty, I could have just chosen 1 exercise. And let me explain today why that is. But here's what I want you to understand before I do that, because it'll just make more sense. We are all every day accumulating what I call, and I share in my book more extensively, and if you want to go get a copy, you can go to my website, jasonbarlowrmt.com, download a free digital copy from there whilst you can, because shortly we're going to be pulling that from the site. We're just going to offer just a free chapter instead. But within my book, I talk about postural debt. And there's 2 types of postural debt: mental postural debt and physical postural debt. We're usually quite familiar with the idea of a posture being physical in nature, aren't we? In the sense of our position in space, the position of the head upon the shoulders, the position of our arms and legs and hips and so forth. It's not very often talked about, but I like to talk about it. And that's one of my core philosophies in my approach to helping people achieve more health, happiness, vitality, is understanding the mental posture. Because to me, you could have the finest body in the world, but still not be happy and content. I mean, I think we've seen, read, and hear and know many stories of people around the world that seemingly have everything that you and I might be seeking in life, yet they're still not happy. So to me, we've got to go much deeper than just the superficial body side of posture. We need to understand the mental posture. And I've spent quite a few weeks looking and exploring about that. If you're interested, go back to my previous videos. I've got them all as playlists in my YouTube channel, or you can go to my podcast series, which you might have found me on right now, and just go back to past episodes and you'll see anything that relates to the mind. Click on it and I expand on what I'm talking about there. But why is it that I'm only picking these 3 exercises? It relates to what I'm sharing now about postural debt. Every day, just think about how you go about your typical day and even how you're sat right now. Very, very often, we're a forward-moving, eyes forward type of being, in the sense that our early ancestors would have to swivel at least a little bit more in terms of survival, whereas we generally don't have the typical survival threats that we would have had to have encountered, hundreds of thousands to millions of years ago. Now we're typically swiveling when somebody calls our name, or we're shoulder checking when we're driving a vehicle, or maybe when we're doing some kind of sport. But the bulk of our time is not taken up using the body in that manner. It's more like I am right now, facing a computer screen or a phone, and our heads generally, I'm fortunate right now, I've got this ergonomically set up that I'm able to look straight forward pretty much. But when I go back to my normal work, I'm looking at my keyboard necessarily. I'm looking at my phone, might be looking over here at this screen. And so we are adopting this forward and rounded posture. Now, if we're only doing that for several minutes a day, maybe a couple of hours, and then we're spending the bulk of our time doing the opposite motions, movements, and positions and postures and so forth, then that's great. You're on the right habit of keeping your body lengthened, stretched, and balanced. But most of us are not able to do that. So the number 1 goal, and that's what I talk about, this is even preceding the 15 steps. The number 1 thing that I recommend for you to work on is just become posturally aware. That is, just pay attention to what position your body's in at any given time. And also then you can apply that to your mind. What state of mind are you in at any given time? And if you don't like that state of mind, change it. It's the same with the physical posture. If you don't like that position you're in, because you know that Jason said that it's better to sit like that, then change it, right? It's just a matter of changing our habits and reprogramming our mind and our body to follow what we now want it to do for us. Because if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. Wouldn't you agree with that one? It's a beautiful one that shared with Tony Robbins shared years ago, and it's always stuck with me. So here's where the 3 exercises can make you stronger. And I could say even just one. You could pick one of those exercises, because what you're doing is you're fostering a new habit. You're fostering positive habits that are going to help to counterbalance the sheer volume of time that you're spending in a posture that, again, don't forget, it's the dose that makes the poison. Rounded, bent forward like this in itself is not inherently a bad posture. What makes it a bad posture is the duration in which you are performing it or doing it. In all my years doing what I do as a massage therapist, health coach, fitness coach, I've never seen anybody take away what I've shared with them by way of stretches and exercises where they've overcompensated and gone to the other extreme. It is rare to see anybody come in with their head almost falling backwards, their shoulders so tightly squeezed together. It's probably possible. I just haven't seen it in my clinical experience. The reason being is we've just got so much postural debt. Now, don't get overwhelmed by that idea of debt. We all have it. What I want you to focus on, though, is that there's ways to pay it off. And that's what the real focus has got to be, whether you choose one exercise or all 3, is you want to be paying off that postural debt. And the way we do that is we just make it a new habit, and we do it every day. And we do it so much that it becomes something that's programmed. And then even when you're not necessarily doing the exercise formally, you're just almost in a seated position, driving your vehicle, cooking the food, washing the dishes, vacuuming, and you're more attentive and alert to what that feels like to get into that posture of that exercise that I'm describing. So just by repeatedly doing this exercise, what you're doing is you're fostering a new habit, which strengthens the connection between your brain, the nerves that then communicate to the muscles, and the muscle actual self, right? The muscle itself is a tissue, but it's driven by the brain and the nerves. So when you do an exercise, like any of the 3 that I'm recommending, you're creating new habits, you're strengthening the connection between the brain and the muscle tissue. And the analogy I used with a patient the other day is it's almost like right now, if you're not doing these exercises regularly, it's like dial-up, right? Your brain communicating with those muscles that are going to hold you more upright. It's like dial-up internet. If you remember those early days, right, of internet, and it was a little painful. And especially now, if we have experiences where our internet is down or it's sluggish, it's slow, poor Wi-Fi, right? We know what that feels like. High-speed internet, you're directly connected from your computer to your modem, is much faster through a wire than it is through Wi-Fi. And it's the same through, or dial-up, and it's the same connection idea or concept or analogy here of the brain communicating to the muscle. Just as soon as you start to do an exercise, you're actually getting a faster speed of delivery of information from the brain to the muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, and it's like you're now migrating from dial-up to high-speed internet. Now that takes a period of time. Don't expect it to just happen overnight. There's going to be some changes straight away, which is great. But I think we get locked into this idea of this instant gratification. And if it's not coming quick enough, I'm just going to move on. We need to be patient. We need to be persistent. And it's that accumulation over time. If I've talked to you about this before, I'm going to reaffirm it. If you've not heard it before, I highly recommend do some research. But it's called the compound effect. That compound effect is making a 1% change in lots of areas. Now, 1% change for exercise is just one exercise. That's what I'm suggesting with you. And I've given you the reasons why. Then you can take a 1% change with your stretch, or 1% change with your foods, and a 1% change with your recovery and rest program. And then apply that through other areas of your life, however you choose. But I'm focusing in on these 4 controls for you, which are your mind, your body, your foods, and your recovery. You make 1% changes in each of those areas, and you do it for long enough, and you got to make sure it's good quality. That 1% has got to be good quality. It's got to be intense. That's important when it comes to strengthening your body. If you don't have intensity, then you're not going to get stronger. Think about all the challenges that you've gone through in life. The biggest growth that you'll have experienced are those times which were the most challenging and demanding that you didn't want to be anywhere near. But in fact, the fact that you pushed through was actually an illustration of your capacity, your potential, and as a result, if you check for yourself, you're actually stronger mentally, physically, perhaps from that experience that you had to go through at that particular point. And hopefully you're able now to reflect back and go, thank you. Thank you for that experience, because now it's birthed my new self, right? This new experience that I'm now having. And it's the same when it comes to exercises. And that's the importance of how only 3 exercises can make you stronger. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found that of benefit. Remember, go get a free copy of this book whilst you still can. My name's Jason Barlow, RMT. And remember that your muscle health is my #1 priority. Any comments, any feedback, you got to leave it. Then I know, and I can share any further answers with you and go a little deeper. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for checking in with me. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for my book of the week. Take care. Farewell. Bye-bye.